TM is like you have a cell phone and someone gives you the charger. And you go, oh, this is, now I can keep using this thing and it will work all the time. So the other way I'll describe it to you is, and I can see from the faces who does it and who doesn't do it, by the way. The other way I will describe TM to you is, do you know how 3 days a year you get a good night's sleep? And you wake up and feel like, oh, this is how I should feel all the time. But you can't get more than 3 good night's sleeps a year because of the circumstances of your life. Well, TM, you can have that every day. That every day you're just, the bar on the cell phone is all the way up. You leave the house and the charger is full. You know that tremendous feeling of power when your phone is fully charged? And somebody calls and you go, I want to hear every detail of this story. I am loaded with juice. That's what TM is. Anything you want to ask me about TM? I do it, and here's the other thing that's crazy, okay? Here's a crazy TM thing. Well, look, I'm only getting 5 hours sleep as it is. I'm not going to get up earlier than that to do TM. It works. It's better. You'll feel better sleeping 4.5 hours and doing that 20, because that's deeper than anything you're getting. When you're sleeping, look at your bed when you get out of it. What does it look like? It looks like a war went on in there. And that's not restful. All you did was stop. And you took the fight from your day into the bed. But you're fighting all day, you're fighting all night. You need a break, folks. You need a break. That's what TM is.
What are you doing here in New York, and what are your thoughts on the now?
The idea of what you're doing, of putting this into schools, I think is a fabulous thing, because I think it's all very well to talk about it, but the thing is, when you actually put it in the mainstream, I think that's very important. I think that's the foot in the door, because then people can then say, in Detroit, where the David Lynch Foundation has put the program into schools, the results are these. And I think this is what people need. They don't need high-minded talk so much as results. And so for you to be able to say the kids love it, the kids in the West Bank love it, the kids in Brazil love it, and you're actually getting results. To me, it's like a seed, that it's for sure, if you take a great seed, an acorn, and you don't put it in the ground, it's pretty guaranteed you won't get an oak tree. But if you put it in the ground, there's a very good chance you'll get an oak tree. And I think that seems to me what you're doing. So that's what I love about what we're involved in now. And so that's why I was so happy to do the concert. It's very inspiring.
What would you do if I sang out of tune? Would you stand up and walk out on me? Lend me your ears and I'll sing you a song, and I'll try not to sing out of key. Oh, I get by with a little help from my friends. Oh, I get high with a little help from my friends.
Over 40 years ago, we ended up in Rishikesh. And that's where we met. Well, it wasn't where we met, it's where we hung out with Maharishi. We'd met him a few months before in Wales. And since then, sometimes a lot and sometimes a little, I have meditated. And, you know, it's a gift he gave me, was my mantra. That's something I could use and something no one could take away. So it's one of the few things I was ever given that means that much to me.
One of the things I did in Next Chapter, I went to visit a town called TM Town, and it's in Fairfield, Iowa. Would you imagine that in Fairfield, Iowa, it's a town population about 9,500, a third of the town meditates. So there's a traffic jam in Fairfield, Iowa at 5:30 with mothers and doctors and dentists and lawyers and engineers and clerks and soccer moms, all headed to the Dome in Fairfield, Iowa, people who look just like you and me, and they're all there meditating. And in order to prepare to doing that show, I brought the Transcendental Meditationists into Harpo Studios to teach me and my team how to meditate. So we started meditating. 7 of us. 7 led to 70, led to 270, led to now everybody in the company meditates. 9 o'clock in the morning, 4:30 in the afternoon, no matter what's going on, we stop, we meditate. And that way of being still with ourselves, coming back to the center and recognizing that something is more important than you, it's more important than the work you're doing, it's more important, brings a kind of energy and an intensity of energy, an intention that we've never had before. And you can't imagine what's happened in the company. People who used to have migraines don't, people are sleeping better, people have better relationships, people interact with other people better. It's been fantastic. So the one thing I want to continue to do is to center myself every day and make that a practice for myself, because I am 1,000% better when I do that. 1,000% better when I take myself back to something bigger than myself.
Anyway, so I learned how to meditate. I've tried to meditate before, the breathing and all the other stuff that when I did yoga, and I was always opening my eye, and it was like a minute later, and I was like, oh, how am I going to do this? This is just impossible, focusing on the breathing. And so when I learned about TM, which I'd heard about it, and I'd heard so many people, I was very impressed by the people that I learned that they did TM, and I was like, well, they're interesting people, and there must be something to it, and I thought I'll try this, even though I'm not good at meditating. And something about TM, something about having that mantra, it is the only time I have that stillness. It's the only way I've ever been able to sit long enough that I open my eyes and I'm sad that it's 20 minutes later. I actually love, and I never had that feeling before, late at night alone at an ATM machine, but that was not safe. But it does, it gives me this peaceful feeling, and I just love it so much, and I talk about it as much as I can on the show without sounding like I'm preaching about it. But I am here really I can't say enough good things about it. And David Lynch, of course, is a genius in many ways, and what a wonderful man to start this foundation to help people, and you'll learn about that tonight. And all the benefits that you can achieve from just sitting still and just going within. It just really is a beautiful experience. So I am happy to be a part of this community.
Years ago, when I was doing Andy Kaufman, I learned how to meditate, and it's been very valuable. It's been around for a while, but I mean, I think on a widespread level, it's being picked up by everybody now. It's being understood as something more than some kind of religious nutty thing. It's a system of teaching yourself how to get into a state of relaxation that affects your entire life and the quality of your life. And I do it. I've done it for a while, and I recommend it highly.
My life is so crazy. It really is. It's extreme. I live in this 1 percentile, like, extreme, I'm zigzagging all over the world. I'm on a plane more than I am on ground. And this tool helps me find moments of peace because I don't have a whole lot of time that extend my day so I can live like my fullest capacity. Like, it gives me 2 days in 1 day. It just gives me this power, And I do it before I write a song sometimes, definitely before I get on stage. And it's just such an incredible, useful, simple tool that has made such an impact on me, and that's why I'm sitting here with you today.
I learned, and it was exactly what I needed. And the thing that blew me away the most about it was that it was the easiest thing that I'd ever done. Not the easiest meditation, but the easiest thing I have ever learned. I learn a lot of things. That's my job. I go out there and I learn it. I'll spend months learning something. And this took me an hour the first time. And it's also what you get out of it. The fact that it's so simple to learn, it's so simple to practice, and yet you get the amount of restoration that comes to you, the benefit across your life. has changed everything. I just had my family and my boyfriend's family meet together for the first time over Thanksgiving, everybody in my apartment for 5 days. And let me tell you something. It can benefit relationships. And I got them all to learn. So it was the most dynamic holiday I think everybody had in the best way, because everyone all of a sudden had this new tool that they never had before with dealing with this sort of moment that could possibly be a little stressful. And instead we all sat and meditated with one another the entire, every morning for 4 days. And it was beautiful. It really bonded everyone, and it was really a special time. So.
You've been into yoga for years and you also meditate.
Yes.
So what are some of the biggest changes that has brought to your life?
It's kind of not one thing you can point at or put a finger on. I just can tell you that I feel it's like a kickstart for your day. It just centers you, and your stress levels are just down, and you find yourself interacting in the world much easier and better, and in a calmer way. And there's just a peaceful joy that sort of comes over. And I don't know how or why, it's no rhyme or reason. And I just know that if I go through a phase where I slip off and I'm not as religious with it, I feel the difference.
Yeah.
I just feel it.
It's not just finding quiet, it's finding bliss. And that is natural, that is for everybody. You see it in babies, you don't have to teach it to them. We somehow forget. And what TM has done for me and for Deb and my children is just get us back to the thing we've forgotten, which is it is our birthright to be happy, to be alert, to actually connect with people in a real way.
I meditate before I hosted the Oscars. I meditate before I go on stage. I meditate in the morning and lunchtime when I'm on a film set. The energy is finer and the decisions you make are more authentic and you're more able to listen to other people. And as an actor, that's all you've got. Your only tools you really have is being present, being clear, and listening. So it helped me in every way. I mean, immeasurably. I'm a way different person from when I began meditation.
Wow.
Well, completely different.
The problem of stress has become so acute, so severe, so chronic, so toxic, and everyone is aware of it. The amount of research in top refereed journals on meditation in general and transcendental meditation to prevent and address the problem of stress is so significant, it's been a game changer.
Here we have brain waves seen during transcendental meditation practice. Notice the waves are going up and down together. You see the rising and falling are very similar. This is something called coherence. Now let's look at EEG in real time. What we're seeing is Dariana's EEG from the 2 frontal leads. These are the 2 leads you see in the first 2 rows. The bottom line, which is looking at coherence, is highly variable. Coherence, again, is how different parts of the brain are working together. In this case, it's the frontal areas of the brain. It's the part of the brain that's central for executive processing, for impulse control, for sense of self. So you can close your eyes and start your TM practice. The brain begins to integrate the restful alertness of pure consciousness into daily life. You're transforming the inner nature of the mind. By changing your inner nature, you can begin to see problems as challenges rather than as stresses.
The amygdala is part of the brain's threat detection system. And when the amygdala senses threat, it will start your fight or flight response, your stress response. And when you're in your right mind, what happens is your prefrontal cortex will regulate the amygdala. It'll calm the amygdala down. And the major point about adolescent brain is that this prefrontal cortex is very slow to mature. And it progressively comes online, and so much of the transition between being a kid and being adult is this unfolding of the prefrontal cortex. I've been following people's attempts to apply brain research to education for 40 years now. And by far, the most common implication is that the optimal internal state for learning is relaxed alertness. It's just the way our brains work. When we're stressed, We respond instinctively. We aren't supposed to learn, and we can't. What we know in relation to learning, if young people meditate, it works. When you're less stressed, you can focus better, you can resist distraction better, and when you have this increased coherence in brain functioning, you can organize your thinking better. Your sense of priorities is better. You can integrate information better. One of the really important things from my point of view is there's also a significant reduction in emotional reactivity. And when I talk with kids, one of the things I really emphasize with them is the need to build their stress tolerance, their ability to manage themselves in stressful situations so they don't quit or they don't freak out. The research on it is showing where kids are meditating twice a day in school, improvement in all kinds of important areas. And it seems to me that given what we know about what TM can do to improve the lives of young people, I think it's cruel not to teach it to them, at least give them a chance to do it.